Good morning. So our topic for in this video is about addressing people in Japanese. So I want to say sorry in advance because I'm not a native speaker of Japanese, so you have to forgive me whenever I mispronounce some syllables or words. With that out of the bucket list, let's begin. So in addressing people, not only it is important to use the right type of language with the right people, it is also important to address them by the right name. It is also important to address yourself with the proper level of politeness. Japanese is special in that. There are so many ways to say the simple word I and you. We will go over that in a bit. There are so many ways to say I in Japanese. Some of these words are not as common as it is before, and some are outdated. But for the sake of this video, we will still discuss that. We will go over the most common ones that are still in use today and some outdated ones. The uses of all the different words for I is separated into two categories. The first one is the gender and the second one is politeness. In other words, there are words that are usually used by males and words that are usually used only by females. And they all depend on the social context. Here is the first one, referring to yourself. It's watashi. It is used by both male and female in a formal situation. The next one is watashi. It is used by both males and females for normal polite situations. The third one is boku. It is used primarily by males from fairly polite to fairly casual situations. The fourth one is ore, a very rough version of I used almost exclusively by males in a very casual situation. The next one, of course, is atashi, a very feminine and casual way to refer to oneself. Many girls use atashi instead of watashi because somehow in their culture, atashi is pronounced something like a very cute voice and a girly sound. The next one is referring to their self with their own name. A very feminine and kind of childish way to refer oneself, but they still use this today. The next one is washi. It is usually used by older men in their middle ages. Here are some examples. Watashi. Watashi no namae wa PJ desu. Boku. Boku no namae wa PJ desu. Ore no namae wa PJ desu. You can also say da. Ore no namae wa PJ da. And I will try to sound the girly form of atashi. It will be Tashi no namae wa Alice desu. I actually don't know if that was a feminine sound. So let's continue. Referring to others by their name. Actually, Japanese does not require a lot of you, unlike in the English language. And another way to address people is by their title. A company president is called Sacho, and you can also use sensei for teacher. Well, actually, the word sensei is used to generally mean any person who has a significant knowledge and expertise in something. Like for example, people usually address doctors with sensei, and obviously the teachers are referred to as sensei. You can also include the person's last name such as Siralde Sensei, that means teacher Siralde. In cases where your relationship with the person doesn't involve any title, you can use their name. usually their last name, and attach the word san to show politeness. And if calling them by their last name seems to be a little too polite and distant, the practice of attaching san to their first name is also acceptable. And a more endearing and a very cute version of san is kun and chan. Kun is usually attached to the names of males who are of equal or lower social position. And chan is a very endearing way to refer usually to females of equal or lower position. You can also call a child chan, and a male preschooler chan. You can also call them kun if they would like it kun better. Most of us already know that the Japanese word for you is anata. However, please don't use anata just like you would in English, because overusing the word will make you a bit rude in their culture. There are three levels of politeness. The first one is using the person's name with the appropriate suffix, that is san, kun, or chan. And the number two is not using anything at all. And then the number three is using anata. In fact, by the time you get to the third one, you are in the area of being rude if you use it most of the time. Because usually, we don't need to use anything at all because we are directly addressing the person. Constantly pounding the listeners or the one you are talking to with anata in every sentence sounds like you are accusing the person. Would you also want to say your name every time they ask you something? Like, for example, PJ, come here. PJ, can you do this? PJ, do you know this? Is it comfortable for you? That goes the same for them. Overusing the name or anata is a bit of off-putting. And another thing, anata is also an old-fashioned way for women to refer to their husband or lover. So bear in mind that don't do overuse the word anata. Here is a list of some words meaning you in English. The first one is anata, generally only used when there is no way to physically address the person or knowing the person's name. For example, direct questions to the reader on a form that the reader must fill out would use anata. Or if you are chasing someone and you don't know the name, you can say anata. The next one is kimi. Kimi can be a very close and assuming way to address girls. Of course, it is usually used by guys. It can also be kind of rude if we overuse it and we use a very strong tone. The next one is umae, a very rough and coarse way to address someone. It is usually used by guys. The fourth one is anta. Anta is a very assuming and familiar way to address someone. And actually, it is used by people who are a bit pissed off about something. So don't use anta unless you are really pissed off. I remember the time when I was just starting to learn Japanese and I have this very close friend. She is my language buddy and I kept using anta. And at the end of our talk, she said, don't use anta, you're kind of being rude to me right now. So that's when I realized that anta was a very rude way to address someone because it's like you are saying you are pissed off at them. Next one is teme. It is very rude like umae and it adds a extra punch. That means people who say teme are the people who wants to beat up someone. However, it is not very often used nowadays. It is mostly used in manga or anime, same as in kisama. It is a very rude way to address someone. It sounds like you want to beat up someone. And the same as teme, it is mostly used in anime and manga. So we should be careful in what word that we will use when addressing someone. The next one is referring to others in the third person. You can use kare and kanojo for he and she. Notice that kare and kanojo can also mean boyfriend and girlfriend. So, how can you tell which one are you supposed to use? In context, of course. For example, if someone asks, Kanojo desu ka? The person is obviously asking if she is your girlfriend. Because the question is she? It doesn't make sense. So, the most logical explanation is that that person is asking if she is your girlfriend. So, remember that you can always use kare and kanojo, he and she, in the third person. The last topic in this video is about referring to family members. Referring to family members is a little more complicated than English. In Japanese, you refer to members of other people's family more politely than your own. For example, you would refer to your mother as haha to people outside your family. But you might call her Okasan at home within your own family. There is also a distinction between older and younger siblings. Here are some examples on how do we address people in family, inside and out. Mother, referring to your own family, you'd say haha. Someone else's family will become Okasan. Father is chichi and otosan. Wife is chuma and oksan. Husband is oto and gosujin. Older sister is ane and onesan. Older brother is ani and onisan. Younger sister is imoto and imoto-san. Younger brother is ototo and ototo-san. Son is musko and musko-san. And the last one is daughter, musme or musme-san. So that's all for now for addressing people, and don't forget to subscribe in this channel and share it with your friends if they want also to learn Japanese. Take care.